The United States government is quietly running a global tracking operation, hunting down people who have already left the country. Officially, the Department of Homeland Security told undocumented immigrants that if they voluntarily departed using a smartphone program called the CBP Home app, any outstanding civil immigration fines they owed would be forgiven. However, contracting documents reveal a separate initiative running alongside these promises, the Tracing and Payment Recovery Services Program. Under this program, the government has authorized up to $9 million to hire private investigators to track down deported individuals across Mexico, Honduras, and Guatemala. The legal mechanism driving this hunt is an obscure provision of a 1996 immigration law, recently reactivated to issue failure to depart penalties. Here is how those penalties accumulate. Every day an individual remains in the U.S. after being ordered to leave, they are charged an additional $998. Over 5 years, that fine can reach up to $1.8 million per person. Now, federal contractors are ordered to locate the deported targets abroad, photograph their home as proof of residence, and physically hand-deliver a printed, bilingual flyer demanding payment for those fines. This program relies on private contractors to perform the street-level tracking, connecting the government's fine collection to a broader network of private firms. This chart outlines the underlying domestic skip tracing dossier, a program with a $281 million ceiling. It is a militarized corporate network that is now expanding its tracking footprint internationally. At the top of the list is BI Incorporated, holding a contract ceiling of roughly $121 million. BI is a wholly owned subsidiary of the DO Group, one of the largest private prison and correctional services corporations in the world. Moving down the roster, we find military and intelligence contractors. Firms like SOSI bring backgrounds in military intelligence and cyber defense, while others, like Omniplex, operate in the private military sector. Omniplex is owned by Constellus, a portfolio company of Apollo Global Management. Constellus holds the corporate lineage of firms like Triple Canopy and Centera, entities with roots in private military contracting. These private investigations are directly tethered to a physical infrastructure. The same parent corporations pulling data and tracking individuals abroad also run the heavily fortified facilities detaining migrants inside the U.S. Deploying these corporate operators to conduct street-level surveillance creates international hazards. Sending non-diplomatic American private contractors to track individuals on foreign, sovereign soil presents immediate safety and geopolitical risks. We can see this blowback in the Capgemini contract. The French multinational firm was forced to divest its $365 million U.S. government solution subsidiary after international outrage and French parliamentary pressure, sparked by fatal ICE shootings in Minneapolis. This system funnels hundreds of millions of dollars to defense contractors to track down people who have been deported and have no money to give. Paying these fines requires using pay.gov, which legally requires a U.S. bank account, an asset deported individuals abroad do not have. However, notices include a provision allowing payment by another party, shifting the financial pressure onto mixed-status family members living inside the United States. If these relatives refuse to pay, the consequences are immediate and domestic. The government initiates wage garnishment, seizes federal tax refunds, and reports debt to credit bureaus, which limits the family's ability to secure housing, loans, or employment. This visual breaks down the full cost. The government fine can reach $1.8 million, but private debt collection agencies are permitted to stack up to $500,000 in additional administrative fees directly on top of that balance. When a family is forced to drain their accounts to pay this debt, the funds are routed into a specific federal account. By law, every dollar extracted from these families is deposited directly into the immigration enforcement account. That federal account exists for one exact purpose: to pay for the identification, apprehension, detention, and removal of even more immigrants. The government built a system where the collection of civil fines from one family directly finances the identification and detention of another. Wealth extracted from these households pays the private military contractors and federal agencies managing the next wave of removals.